Brothers buy an old photo at a thrift shop before realizing it could be worth millions. No one loves historic relics like brothers Keith and Brian Collins. All you have to do is mention you might have something valuable, or even just historically significant, and you can bet they'll go out of their way to check it out. The past has always been their passion. That's why you can sometimes catch them at the thrift store searching for items that may reveal something special about the past. They have a knack for locating unique souvenirs, but they weren't at all ready for what they came across one afternoon in Tombstone, Arizona. Keith and Brian Collins' history obsession leads them to areas of the country where historic artifacts are prevalent. Hoping to get their hands on something meaningful, they chartered a course for their famous old western town of Tombstone. People from all over flocked to Tombstone for a taste of life during the 1800s. Many of the buildings were old-fashioned replicas, which was right up Keith and Brian's alley. A previous experience hinted the small town might be a hotspot for historic artifacts. The 2011 trip to the Carriage House Antiques shop in Hesperia, California garnered plenty of public attention. The men visited the shop in search of some historic finds, and they came away with quite the discovery. They found an authentic photo album of the famous Wyatt Earp with several members of his family. The album was among a pile of other old photos, but none of them were nearly as special as this. Wyatt Earp was an Old West lawman and gambler, as well as the deputy marshal of Tombstone. Now that the brothers were actually visiting Tombstone, they hit the thrift stores in hopes of finding more history. In the first store they entered, they immediately asked if there were any old photos for sale. They were hoping to find something like the Wyatt Earp album. They eventually ended up purchasing this tintype of two men. They bought the tintype as well as two other old photographs for a total of $13. They tossed the pictures in the glove compartment at first, but later that night, Keith examined the image of the two men. He stared at the photo closely, then passed it to his brother. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, this can't be who I think it is. So I passed it to Brian, who said, that's Billy the Kid. Could the brothers really have stumbled upon an actual photo of Billy the Kid, the infamous outlaw who was a major player in the Lincoln County Regulators gang? He's perhaps the only regulator anyone really even remembered. Even to this day, the name Billy the Kid is recognizable. Heck, abstract artwork of the outlaw hangs in a modern museum. This guy was a big name, and now Keith and Brian needed answers. When they asked the man who sold them the photos where he'd gotten them, he told them, oh, we actually dug it up at a tent. The tent was located in an area known for gambling, which excited the brothers. According to Keith, Billy the Kid and the other man in the photo, his half-brother Joseph Antrim, were big gamblers, which added to the evidence that the photo was legit. However, not everyone held this belief. The executive editor of the True West magazine, Bob Bose Bell, had no doubt in his mind that the photo was a fake. According to Bob, he sees people who have authentic Billy the Kid photos almost every week. He continued, short of a letter from someone who actually knew the kid and who specifically mentions this photo, there is no way to prove anything. He even doubted the 2010 Billy the Kid photo that sold for $5 million. In 2010, a man named Randy Guillermo purchased a photo of Billy the Kid playing croquet from a thrift store in Fresno, California. With the help of a National Geographic producer, he was able to prove its authenticity. Jeff Aiello, the producer who helped Randy for over a year to determine whether his photo was legit, was obviously just as interested in Keith and Brian's find, so he volunteered to help them as well. The biggest factor in determining the photo's authenticity, as Jeff learned with Randy, was facial recognition technology. Unfortunately, when the brothers' find was put to the test, it didn't land nearly enough percent points to justify a match. Jeff admitted, in my opinion, neither one of those guys is close to Billy. I laid out facial recognition data over them. The facial geometry doesn't match. It's a cool image though. The brothers, however, weren't disheartened. Keith said, Brian and I are trying to preserve history before it's gone. These guys simply want the importance of the era appreciated by others. Still, they're on the lookout for all Old West photos, including rare pictures of the most iconic outlaw duo.